The tension in Alberta's housing market just hit a boiling point, and even the premier couldn't hold back. Reports say Danielle Smith was visibly furious after learning that a wave of homebuyers had pulled out of their deals, leaving sellers stranded and projects hanging in limbo. In a province that once prided itself on resilience and growth, the sudden buyer retreat feels like a gut punch to the economy. So what really pushed Alberta's leader to the edge? And is this the breaking point for the province's fragile housing market? Quick background on the players and context.
A bit of a difference in conservatism in Alberta than in other provinces. And let me maybe see if I can help to explain a bit about why that is.
So first off, let's talk about Danielle Smith. She's the premier of Alberta. She stepped into that role in October 2022. What that means is she's the top provincial leader in Alberta, responsible for setting big picture directions from the economy to housing policy to how Alberta handles its natural resource industries. She isn't just any politician. She's the one whose voice carries weight when Albertans feel changes in jobs, homes, or money in their pockets. Now,
January through March of this year, 11,500 homes roughly built in Alberta, not even 11,000 in Ontario, 7,500 or thereabouts in BC. Those two.
Housing in Alberta has been going through some rough patches. The market that once surged is now showing signs of stress, fewer eager buyers, higher interest rates, more uncertainty. When buyers agree to buy a home and then walk away, it sends ripples through the whole system, from sellers scratching their heads to developers pausing projects to the government taking notice. The premier is watching closely because housing isn't just about homes, it's about livability, growth, and economic stability. Here's why buyers might back out of a home purchase in Canada and why this matters so much in Alberta. Even if you're serious about buying a home, things can derail the deal. Maybe your financing falls through, the bank says no, or the house appraisal comes in much lower than you agreed to pay, or you just get cold feet when you realize the market isn't as hot as you thought. In Alberta, once the contract is signed, you're legally committed, unless specific conditions in the offer are unmet. So when buyers walk away, it often reflects deeper problems: a shaky market, overextension of budgets, or mismatch between expectations and reality. Putting it all together, you have a premier who's responsible for keeping the province strong and stable, and you have a housing market that's sending warning signals like buyers stepping back, deals collapsing. That combination sets the stage for why the premier might get visibly frustrated. She's seeing what happens when the system falters. It's not just one house deal. It's about what happens when those deals add up across the province and affect jobs, construction, municipal revenue, and the economic mood.
That you can come to Alberta, you can get a good job, you can buy a home, and aspirationally for young families, that's what they want to be able to see. And so that's part of the reason why we made sure to remove a lot of the...
So in short, Danielle Smith isn't just reacting to isolated events, she's reacting to what those events might mean for Alberta's future. And when the housing market starts wobbling, the whole province feels it, not just in homes, but in confidence. What happened? The buyers walk away scenario.
People are moving to this area, which is putting a lot of strain on the housing market. We have an extremely limited months of supply here in Red Deer, or an extremely limited amount.
The situation that's got everyone talking in Alberta's housing market is pretty simple on the surface, but much deeper. When you look closer, buyers are agreeing to purchase homes, signing the contracts, sometimes even putting down deposits, and then pulling out before the deal closes. It's not just a few isolated cases either, it's becoming a noticeable trend. People are getting cold feet at the final step, and it's leaving sellers, builders, and real estate agents stuck in an awkward, stressful mess. When a buyer walks away, it's not just one deal falling apart, and it's a chain reaction that shakes confidence across the whole market. For sellers, this kind of thing can feel devastating. They've already started planning their next move, maybe buying another house or relocating for work, and suddenly the deal they were counting on just vanishes. Agents who've spent months working on the transaction lose their commissions. Builders, especially those working on new homes, see projects stall because funding depends on completed sales. The market starts to freeze when too many deals collapse at once. And in a province like Alberta, where housing plays a huge role in local economies, those failed deals can ripple through everything from construction jobs to retail spending. You can understand why Premier Danielle Smith would be furious. Housing stability is one of the cornerstones of economic confidence. When people stop following through on purchases, it sends the message that something's wrong, either with affordability, interest rates, or trust in the market itself. It's not just about houses not being sold. It's about the story that tells investors and families alike that the system feels shaky. For a premier trying to project strength and stability, watching buyers pull out of deals feels like seeing cracks in a wall she's been trying to hold together. And then there's the financial side. That in Canada, backing out of a real estate deal isn't as simple as saying, I changed my mind. Buyers can lose their deposits, face lawsuits, or even be forced to pay damages if the seller suffers a loss. In many cases, lawyers get involved, and what was once an exciting milestone turns into a legal nightmare. So when Smith loses it, it's not just emotion, it's frustration with a housing system that's losing traction right when Alberta needs it to stay strong. The premier losing it, what that looks like.
Infrastructure and social services Albertans and Canadians need. And what's worse, Ottawa continues onward with more destructive policies.
When Danielle Smith loses it, it's not in the chaotic sense. It's controlled fury, the kind that comes from watching a system break down in real time. Her words carry sharpness, frustration, and urgency. You can almost feel the weight of someone who's fed up with endless reports of collapsing home sales and a housing market that feels more broken by the day. It's not just about numbers for her, it's about the people, young families priced out, sellers watching deals crumble, and builders pausing projects because no one's buying. When she speaks, it's not polished political talk. It's fire mixed with exasperation. We can't keep waiting for Ottawa to fix this, she might say, her tone cutting through the noise. People are giving up on the dream of home ownership, and that's not acceptable.
Supported by their new Democrat allies, have unleashed a tidal wave of laws, policies, and political attacks aimed directly at Alberta's free economy.
Her reaction seems motivated by more than market statistics. Deep down, there's a sense that the housing mess symbolizes something much larger. A failing system of affordability, broken trust in policy, and the ripple effect of national economic strain. You can hear it in the way she talks about Alberta's potential, how this province should be a place where people can afford to start fresh, not struggle to survive. When deals fall apart or buyers walk away, she doesn't just see a dip in sales, she sees another reminder that affordability is slipping through people's fingers. So when Smith goes public, the tone is urgent. She's not afraid to call out what she sees as bureaucratic delay or what a federal mismanagement. She'll question, what are we doing wrong, or why are we letting this happen again? It's frustration mixed with determination, the kind that rallies her base and sends a clear message that she's not willing to watch the market crumble in silence. Her words often carry both warning and promise that Alberta won't stand by waiting for someone else to fix the crisis.
Other than Alberta and Saskatchewan, have coastal port access, and no province needs it more given the size and value of our resources. This will benefit all Canadians.
To Albertans, her reaction signals something important, that she's paying attention, that she's angry for the same reasons they are. Whether you agree with her politics or not, there's power in seeing a leader reflect public frustration back at the system. In her tone, people hear what many of them feel, but rarely say out loud, that the dream of home ownership is slipping away and doing nothing is no longer an option. Why this matters for Alberta's housing and economy. When you think about housing, it's easy to picture just the homes, the places people live, raise families, or build dreams. But in reality, housing is the backbone of Alberta's economy. It touches everything: jobs, construction, local businesses, even the mood of the province. When home sales collapse or buyers start walking away, it's not just a few disappointed sellers. It's a chain reaction that can ripple through the entire economic system. Every stalled deal means fewer tradespeople hired, fewer materials bought, and less money flowing into communities that rely on the housing sector to stay alive. If buyers keep backing out, the first thing that happens is the market starts to clog up. Sellers get stuck with listings that sit for months. Inventory builds up, and when that happens, prices often start to soften. That might sound good for buyers at first, but when confidence drops, no one really wins. People hold off on making big financial moves. They wait, they worry, and that hesitation spreads. Builders start slowing down projects because they can't risk oversupply. Realtors, mortgage brokers, and construction workers all feel the squeeze. Before long, what started as a few canceled sales becomes a signal that something deeper is wrong. For Alberta, this kind of slowdown hits harder than in many other places. The province's economy doesn't just run on oil, it runs on growth. Migration, housing demand, and construction are what keep towns expanding and new communities alive. When people stop buying, it sends a chill through that entire cycle. Fewer new residents move in, local spending dips, and confidence in the province's future begins to wobble. That's why Danielle Smith's reaction matters so much. She sees the risk of a domino effect that could extend far beyond housing. Her strong response isn't just political noise. It's a warning sign that the province can't afford to ignore. When the Premier starts speaking with urgency, it means she's sensing that this isn't a temporary hiccup, it's a potential economic shift. Alberta's housing market has always been a reflection of its broader spirit, driven, growing, and confident. So when that energy starts to fade, it's not just about property values, it's about the health of the entire province, and the need to act before a few deals gone wrong becomes a full-blown crisis. Possible causes, contributing factors. When you start looking into why Alberta's housing market is showing cracks, it's never just one thing. It's a mix of pressures, financial, emotional, and even political, all pulling in different directions. One of the biggest culprits is the rise in interest rates. When borrowing money suddenly becomes more expensive, it changes everything. A buyer who could afford a $600,000 home last year might only qualify for $450,000 today. That kind of shift can turn excitement into panic overnight. Some buyers realize too late that their pre-approval no longer covers the price they agreed to pay, forcing them to back out before the deal even closes. Then there's the emotional side of the market, the overconfidence that came during the boom. A lot of buyers got caught up in bidding wars, thinking prices would never stop climbing. People overestimated home values, paid more than they should have, and now that the market is softening, regret is setting in. It's like waking up after a shopping spree and realizing the bill is far bigger than expected. Some buyers are simply walking away rather than locking themselves into decades of debt they can't handle. At the same time, sellers aren't innocent in this. Many still believe their homes are worth last year's prices and refuse to adjust to today's realities. That leads to listings sitting too long or collapsing at the final stages because buyers and sellers can't meet in the middle. Add into that the fine print, loan approvals that fall through, inspections revealing costly issues, or buyers using those clauses to walk away legally, and you get a perfect recipe for canceled deals. There's also the bigger picture, Alberta's economy. While the province has been bouncing back from oil price swings, uncertainty still lingers. When people worry about jobs, they get cautious about taking on new mortgages. Combine that with a policy environment that can't seem to keep pace with rapid market changes, from lending rules to housing regulations, and you end up with a system struggling to balance itself. In short, Alberta's housing slowdown isn't about one bad policy or one tough month. It's the result of pressure building up across every layer of the market, from the bank's interest rate to the buyer's state of mind. And unless confidence returns, those cracks could easily spread even wider. What the premier or government might do, what to watch for. When a premier reacts as strongly as Danielle Smith has, it usually means she's preparing to do something about it. Alberta's housing slowdown isn't just an economic issue anymore, and it's political, social, and emotional. Smith knows that when buyers start walking away from deals, it's not only confidence that takes a hit, it's people's trust in the system. That's why you can expect her government to step in with visible action. She might start by calling for policy fixes aimed at restoring stability, incentives for first-time buyers, flexible financing programs, or tax relief for those struggling to close deals. It's about sending a message. The government is aware and it's ready to steady the ship. You might also see the province pushing for more transparency in the market. If walkaways are becoming a growing trend, the government could demand better data tracking to understand why deals are collapsing. That kind of information can help shape targeted solutions, like improving mortgage support or adjusting real estate regulations that haven't caught up with today's volatile conditions. Smith's tone lately suggests she wants accountability, not just from buyers and sellers, but from banks, developers, and policymakers who all play a part in keeping the housing machine running smoothly. At the same time, there's a good chance she'll focus on confidence. Housing markets are built as much on psychology as on economics. When people believe prices will drop, they stop buying. When they think stability is coming back, they return. Smith might roll out measures that aim to boost optimism, maybe new construction initiatives, partnerships with builders, or even public reassurances that Alberta's fundamentals remain strong. As someone following Alberta's housing story, you'll want to keep your eyes open over the next few months. The biggest clues about where things are headed will come from government announcements, especially anything related to affordability programs or homebuyer support. If Danielle Smith or her ministers start hinting at new incentives, revised tax measures, or credit programs, that's a sign they're moving from talk to action. The numbers will tell their own story too. Like, watch for fresh data showing how many home sales are actually falling through and how that trend compares month to month. If cancellations keep rising, it could mean the market's foundation is weaker than it looks on the surface. Banks and lenders are another piece of the puzzle. If they start tightening mortgage approvals or raising lending standards, it's often because they're bracing for more risk. Builders too can signal what's coming. When big projects get delayed or shelved, it usually means confidence is slipping behind the scenes. These early indicators often appear before the headlines catch up, giving those who are paying attention a clearer sense of what's really happening. In the end, how Danielle Smith responds will tell you just how worried the government truly is. If she moves quickly with targeted measures, not just speeches, it shows she sees this as more than a short-term dip. A decisive response would mean the province recognizes that housing is deeply tied to Alberta's economic heartbeat. After all, when home sales slow, it's not just about real estate agents or construction workers. It affects everyone, from local shop owners to young families trying to put down roots. If Smith hesitates or focuses only on rhetoric, that might signal the province is hoping the problem will fix itself. A risky bet, given the warning signs. Alberta's strength has always been its resilience and ability to act fast when markets shift. The next few months will reveal whether that same spirit applies to housing. For ordinary people, staying informed isn't just about curiosity, and it's about being ready to adapt, whether you're thinking of buying, selling, or simply trying to understand how this could shape the province's economy in the years ahead. What this means for you, the reader, if you're a buyer, seller, or just curious. If you're a buyer in Alberta right now, this isn't the kind of market where you can just walk in, make an offer, and assume everything will fall into place. The game has changed. Every deal feels a bit tighter, financing is tougher, appraisals are stricter, and sellers are watching every move. It's not about rushing in anymore, it's about being strategic. Make sure your loan approval is solid, your conditions are realistic, and you truly understand the value of what you're buying. Interest rates have made affordability a moving target, and one unexpected shift can throw off your entire plan. So if you're house hunting, patience and preparation are your best allies right now. If you're on the other side, a seller, things are different too. Gone are the days when homes sold in a weekend with 5 offers on the table. Buyers are cautious and deals can fall apart for reasons that have nothing to do with you personally. That's why having the right price matters more than ever. Overpricing your property in a softening market is like leaving a do not disturb sign on your listing. It sits there untouched. You'll also want to make sure your contract is strong. Include buffers for financing delays, inspections, and buyer hesitation. The market is still active, but it's fragile. Flexibility, not frustration, is what will help you close the deal. And if you're just watching from the sidelines, maybe waiting to see what happens before you make a move, this is the moment to pay attention. When a premier starts speaking publicly and showing frustration, it usually signals that something deeper is shifting. It could mean new policies are coming, or that the government sees a risk in the market that most people haven't caught on to yet. Those kinds of signals often appear before the actual changes hit. Watching interest rates, housing reports, and government statements can give you a sense of where things are headed. No matter where you stand, buying, selling, or just observing, the message is clear. Alberta's housing story isn't just about numbers, it's about confidence, timing, and awareness. Staying informed could make the difference between catching an opportunity and getting caught in the downturn. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.